Welcome back to TYT's The Conversation. It's Adrienne Lawrence, and I'd like to welcome in ChangeFi CEO and president of the Change Company, BC Silver. Welcome in, BC.
Nice to get connected. Thank you.
Yes, I'm so glad to have you here. So the Change Company is a designated community development financial institution. What does that mean in terms of how it services individuals?
Yeah, so a CDFI means that we've been certified by the federal government to serve the underserved community. So essentially what it says is, we've operated in good standing. We support the community. We have several different programs, whether it's educational, financial literacy, but also more importantly, we also offer lending products where we help fund and get people in homes, not only in inner city, but also underserved communities as well.
And when you say underserved communities, I'm guessing you're probably referencing maybe Black or brown communities that have been historically marginalized when it comes to home ownership. And if that's correct, what are you working toward right now that would serve those communities?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right in terms of from a geographical location standpoint or proximity. You nailed it on the head. And then from what we're working on standpoint, what we've been up to is simply we can offer both traditional and non-traditional forms of liquidity. So said a different way, if many folks in our community may not be set up for success to purchase a home. So more specifically, if you think it's pretty difficult to buy a home in today's day and age, and the reason why is because you need traditional documentation in one case, in most cases actually. Two, you need to have consistent work. Direct deposits, et cetera, in your bank account, and you need to have been there for a long duration of time. The unfortunate thing is, for a lot of Black and brown communities, we have a disproportionate amount of people that are gig workers, right, or that work as contractors, and they may not have consistent direct deposit. But we allow people to not only either you can qualify in a traditional way, or if you have a good credit score, we can actually qualify you for a home without having the same requirements from a documentation standpoint. And so it gives you more.
That's fantastic. That's really good to hear. As someone who is a lawyer by training and has worked in the traditional world, but is now in the freelance kind of gig economy and enjoying it and it's flourishing, I completely understand the limitations and kind of the hurdles that I could face if I wanted to buy another property. And so it's good to know that you as an institution provide those opportunities for people, particularly brown and Black people who have been historically boxed out. And so in terms of home ownership right now, as I understand it, there has been a huge just almost, we have an anticipated crash right now with a lot of people who might be bounced from their homes in time as we just hopefully coming out of this pandemic. There is the rental relief issues going on, as well as home ownership and being able to pay and whatnot. So I guess, where do you all come in terms of making these opportunities a reality?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, one. Two, what I would say is, many times there is a misunderstanding in terms of what the underserved community may look like. More specifically, there are tons of people in these marginalized communities that actually have great credit. There are tons of folks in this community that actually have employment or have great jobs and have saved a lot of money. And that should be able to qualify, but just haven't in the past because they didn't know the right process, the right structure. What I would say is we've been lending in this space, and we've actually had no defaults, even in a non-traditional qualification format. And so, we've actually, we haven't necessarily seen the same impact that the rest of the marketplace is seeing, because we have done a great job just in terms of vetting highly qualified individuals, even though they're underserved, and people who really wanted to have the opportunity to own a home. And so I would say, many times when you think of underserved, you automatically think low income, or you automatically think inconsistent employment, but that isn't necessarily the case. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yes, that completely and totally makes sense. It'd probably be potentially someone similar to myself who has great credit and has all those opportunities, but doesn't necessarily have the traditional regimented structure that I guess more traditional financial institutions cater to. And I think it's such a good thing to have companies like yours out there, because essentially if you have traditional financial institutions who only provide you with the opportunity for homeownership, if you meet these specific ramifications or these specific specifications that often are a product of white supremacy or the patriarchy, whether it's in terms of who gets certain jobs, who's able to stay at certain jobs, and to have those opportunities that you essentially see the oppression operating in society, then it's finding another way to box people out. And so it sounds like you provide other avenues for people who are different or choose to live a different path or don't even have access to the traditional opportunities that others do. Yeah. And so when it comes to, I guess, where you all look forward to moving toward next steps in the next half of this year, 2021, where would you say you're going?
Yeah, so we have a stated objective to continue to drive Black and Latino home ownership to the tune of $3 billion in funding this year. So we're going to continue to stay down that path and be diligent. What I would say is, we believe in offering liquidity for these communities, offering financial opportunity for these communities, and everyone should have the right to the American dream, right? But you mentioned that in many cases the system was not designed to help Black and brown communities, but it's our commitment to continue to head down that path, continue to infuse more money, and not only that, but also partner with other financial institutions or organizations that have the same mission and objective in mind.
Excellent. I think that that's a very important thing to do, and especially building those community alliances with other organizations and entities. It's so incredibly important. And so if you could fill everybody in a little bit, Change Company, it's a designated community development financial institution. Is that something that is kind of a government issued designation?
It is a government issued designation. And so if you think about it from financial institution standpoint, what it essentially means for all the viewers out there is you essentially have a financial institution that was built to help you, that has been certified by the US government that the proof is in the pudding, that we've done substantial work in the marketplace to help, and we've done it over a consistent period of time. And so I would say, many times people have never heard of CDFIs before. What I would say is if you are in an underserved community and you're looking for, education, tools, resources, CDFIs are a great place to start because they can offer different solutions than your more traditional banks or your big banks, which we know have had its own series of challenges in the past. So I would say, not just us, there are other great CDFI institutions out there. I think the one thing I would want to mention though is what makes us a little bit, very different than some other CDFIs is we're also a Fintech organization as well too. So we're heavy technology based. So what that means is, we will continue to be launching new technology, new products that will help people not only give the information and education that they need to help them no matter where they are on their financial journey, but we'll also be developing, we're launching a debit card program, and additional some credit enhancement features, and then also ways to help you eventually become a homeowner one day. It is the single biggest opportunity we have to close the wealth gap. You hear people often mentioning the importance of home ownership and the wealth gap, and you've done some phenomenal pieces on it as well. But we truly believe that this is the lane that we have to start focusing on in order to truly close that gap.
Absolutely, and I think it's such an important piece, the home ownership element, in part because that is how you build oftentimes generational wealth. And when you have underserved communities, marginalized groups, that is something that they've essentially been, restricted from home ownership and that opportunity to be able to pass on the legacy so that the generations to come can do even better. So I want to thank you so much for joining us. And can you quickly tell the viewers where they can go to find more information?
Yeah, so feel free to go to changefi.com. So CHANGEFI.com. You'll see tons of information on home ownership, traditional, non-traditional loans, as well as debit card programs, enhancement tools, and just tons of great information to learn and actually start to easily execute against. So changefi.com.
Thank you so much for joining us. BC Silver, ChangeFi CEO and president of the Change Company.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.